Woosah. Woosah. All right. We're good. Let's start off our first 20 minutes of work. Let's start off our first 20 minutes of work.
It's time to do.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So let's go over to this monitor over here. And I'm just going to go and say, put this right here. All right. So unit test and integration test for our time cost calculator Flutter app. Let's do it. All right. What's up, Magnetar? How is it going? Thank you for joining in and being frustrated with me because it's been a night. It has been a night.
Bruh.
All right, so let's see what we got going on over here. Let's see what we got going on over here. So basically we want to, and I think something happened with the branching where it added everything over here, which I didn't really want that to happen. But we're going to be focusing on our tests. If I can find, all right, so so there goes our test over here, right? And when we had the like kilo code and SpecKit try to write it for us, it was a mess. It pretty much used up all of our credit. So now we're going to systematically do it manually ourselves. We're going to go between Kilo and we're going to go between Gemini and just the code itself to see how we can get this to work. All right. So let's go with let's start off with the, let me see, timer service. Let me close this down. We don't need this part. So let's go to unit test. I'm going to open up the timer service. I'm going to close everything else, actually. Close all tabs. And we're going to go into our unit test. So we have unit test, we have integration test, and we have widget test. The widget test is kind of like the UI UX test, like our in a web automation scenario, or we would think about them like our Playwright test or our Selenium test. So we're going to start off with that unit test because we should always start off with unit test because that tells us the core of our application. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go and try to run this right here first to see what kind of results we get, to see if it is actually working or not. You know, see what fails, and then based on what fails, we can manually go through trying to fix that. So I'm just gonna go into it's gonna go into Android Studios, and I'm just gonna click this run test right here. See what we get. And so far, pretty good, actually. We have one failure out of 4 tests. The resume timer resumes the timer. So this must be test for the new features, actually. So this is test for this. So this is test for that Pomodoro timer, I believe. So we can go ahead and find this. So I'm going to double click and find what the test is. And it's an expected duration of 58, actual duration of, the actual is 59. So let's see why. So it says, so basically, so let's read through the test, right? Resume timer resumes the timer. So timer service start timer at 1 minute. And then we are going to say await future delayed. So wait for 1 second. And then you say timer paused. And then you resume the timer, await future delayed for 1 second. So that would be 2 seconds. So let's say we take, that'd be 60, 58. So the way I would write this test would be over here, and I would say this should be 59. And this should be, and then you resume the timer. And then it's running for 1 second. It should be 58. So I'm going to run this one on its own. So we go with this one. So with whatever you are testing, you should always like whatever application you're doing, right? You should always start with your unit test first. As a developer, you must write unit tests. Okay. Let's see where this one failed. We're gonna go to here. So this first one passed, right? It made it through this one, but it didn't make it through this one. So we know that the pause timer works, but then once it resumes, expect timer is running. If I was to change this to 2 seconds, what will we get? Let me try to run that again. Doing a timer test is always going to be a bit tricky because, so that works. Now the question is, why does that work? Because is it really pausing, or if you pause it, is it resetting? Right? So because in theory, this it should say if the duration is 1, you pause the timer, it's at 59. Now my question is, when you click resume timer, is it starting back over at 0 or at 1 minute? And is it that why when we change this to 2 seconds, it goes to, so here's what I would want to do. I would want to say, I'm gonna copy, this is what I'm gonna do, right? I'm gonna copy this test right here. And I'm gonna go to Gemini. And I'm going to say, I'm running this Flutter test. I'm running this Flutter test, and it is failing on the 50. It's failing on the second current duration validation at 58 seconds. It is finding 59 seconds, but it should be 58. If I change it to 2-second duration, it properly finds 58. I'm suspicious that the timer is resetting to 1 minute when I pause it. Is there a way I can add some type of log to the test to see what the start timer value is when I reset it? Let's see what that gives us. Let's see what that's going to do for us. So if I go to, so I'm going to put, here's the test. So because I'm not that well versed in Flutter, I'm going to paste the test, and I'm going to paste so I'm going to revert this back to 1, and I'm going to run it again to get it to fail. And I'm going to paste the results that I'm getting, so that instead of using our Kilo code, I can just use my Gemini code, so that, or my Gemini Pro account, so that it can help me, it can walk me through fixing this. Here, so got that. So now here are the results that I'm getting. And I do not like light mode, so I'm gonna go back to dark mode. There we go. That's more like it. All right. It says you can absolutely add logging to your test to see what's happening. Simplest way is to use a standard print function. Your suspicion is very likely correct. The test results strongly suggest your resume timer method is not resuming from pause duration, but instead restarting the timer from its original duration. So debugging with the print, let's say we do. So I'm going to add, So I'm going to add these print statements all over the place, right? So that we can actually see what's going on. So when we run it, we can actually have a good understanding of what is happening. So let's start off with the start test. And I'm going to say print. Oh, wait. So we're going to do here. And then we're going to go here and say waited 1 second. And then we're going to say timer paused. And then we are going to say expect timer. Okay, so this is going to go here. Oops. That's going to go here. Now, when we resume the timer, we want to say timer resumed. And we're going to delay another second. That way it's going to give us the duration. And then we're going to say after the delay again, we put that. And expected timer duration. Expected timer duration is running true. And now we're doing that check to see what we have here. And then we do print test. And all right, so we have that. Let's run this now to see if it's resetting, because my suspicion is that it's resetting. Timer resume, duration immediately after resume is, no, it didn't reset. So why? Timer resume, duration immediately after resume is 59 seconds. Waited another second. Final check, expected 58 actual. Why? So then, that is weird. So if I'm looking over here, right? So timer paused, current duration. So timer paused. So timer resumed. Why would it be 59 again? Timer started with, okay, before you, so let's not even do that. Let's do this. Let me take this. Instead of saying the 60 in here, let's see what it's really starting with, right? Before we even wait 1 second. Now you're seeing the tester mindset. So this is a tester mindset in me where I'm trying. All right, so that's correct. Timer started with 1, so that's correct. And then you wait 1 second, it's 59. Timer resumed, duration immediately after resume is 59. Wait another second. Final check 58. Expected 58. Actual 59. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. Timer expected. The timer paused. Okay. Future delayed, constant duration 1. Timer service is running. True. Expected. All right, so I'm going to copy this then. I'm going to paste it into my so it says it looks like it's not resetting, but the test is still failing. finding 59-second duration. That doesn't make any sense to me. I wonder why. Unless something's not being updated. Let me see. This is even more subtle. Your logs are perfect and tell a new story. You were right. It's not resetting to 1 minute. My first hypothesis is wrong. Here's what the logs show. Timer resume, duration immediately after 59. This is great. It means the resume timer knows it should start from 59. Wait another second. The test successfully pauses for 1 second. Final check, expected 58. Even after waiting 1 second, the duration is still 59. This strongly suggests your resume timer method is not actually starting the timer countdown. It's likely doing something like resume timer is running equals true. It correctly sets the remaining time, current duration equals remaining duration, but it's missing the code to start the actual timer. It needs to recreate the timer periodic here. When you call resume timer, it's correctly setting the duration variable to 59, but it's failing to start the timer periodic or whatever mechanism you're using. So the test waits 1 second, but your service timer isn't running, so current duration never changes. To fix inside your resume timer method, you need to reinitialize and start your periodic timer, making sure it uses the remaining duration or current duration as the starting point. It should look very familiar to your start timer method, but instead of using the full duration past, it should start its countdown from the time that was left when it was paused. This is a very common bug in timer logic. You share your timer service code. I can point out exactly where you add the timer turn. All right, so let's go and find out this timer logic code, timer service. And I'm going to say, copy that. So I'm just copying it over from Android Studio and I'm going to say, this is the timer logic code. So now by giving it the code, it's going to check to see if its assumption was correct or if it's something wrong with the test. Because it could be either or. The test should be passing, or maybe because it doesn't look like the test is wrong. So let's see. But this is how I troubleshoot the application, the test, because by having the test in place, it's going to prevent us from having future issues. Let me know if the connection is still working well after our terrible connection issue to start the show. All right, so I found the bug. Your logs were the key. My last diagnosis was right on track, but incomplete. The problem isn't just that the timer isn't starting. It's when it's starting relative to your test delay. The subtle critical async await race condition. The problem, here are two methods at the center of the issue. It says start timer duration async. These awaits cause the delay before the timer is created. This line is only reached after the awaits are completed. Okay. Problem 2, this method is sync void, but calls an async method without await. And keep in mind, this is the code that Kilo wrote for us, right? So, and it's funny because Kilo wrote this code using Gemini, right? And now Gemini is telling Gemini that you wrote bad code. So, all right, so let's see how we can fix it. Here's the exact timeline of your test failing. Resume timer is called. Resume timer calls start timer, but does not await it. It returns immediately. Your test code immediately moves to the next line. Await feature delayed. Your test starts at 1 second countdown. At the same time, start timer function, which is now running in the background, hits its own await Flutter background initialize. Let's say Flutter background takes 200 milliseconds. Your test future delays 1 second. Your test moves to the expect. At this point, start timer is still not finished. It's only 200 milliseconds. It has not created the timer periodic yet. Your expect checks runs and finds duration is still 59. The test fails sometimes after the test fails. Start timer finally finishes the await and creates, but it is too late. The best fix is to make resume timer do only what it needs to do. Recreate the timer that pause timer canceled. It shouldn't be running all the Flutter background logic because pause timer never disabled it. Only stop timer does. So replace your resume timer.
Lunch break. Lunch break.
All right, let me just finish reading this and then we'll do this, right? Replace your resume timer function with resume timer if running, return is running true. Notify listeners that the timer is running again. Immediately recreate the timer using the existing current duration. Timer periodic duration 1 second timer. If duration in seconds, do this. Initial duration in seconds minus current duration in seconds times hourly rate time divided by 3600. Else stop timer show notification true. Notify listeners. This new resume timer is synchronous void. When your test calls it, it immediately sets is running equals true and immediately creates a new timer periodic. Then when your test calls await feature delayed 1 second, the timer is already running and will correctly tick from 59 seconds down to 58 seconds in that 1 second window. Oh my goodness, it was loud. All right, let me put it down a little bit. You know what it might be too? It might be because of this. All right. Sorry about that. All right. So, all right. So when we come back, we'll update the function to use what they suggested, and we can see what happens from there. All right. So happy that we are back in shape, and thank you so much, Junior, for helping me get through that. I had to end up switching internet connections, but we're here. We are here. Junior says that everything seems to be working perfectly now, right on time for me to go to Bible study. Enjoy the rest of the stream. Thank you so much, Junior. You enjoy your Bible study. Oops, wrong one. Shout out to my guy, Junior. All right. Let's go to our first break time topic of the night. It says being loud was a good thing because it was usually low. Okay. I thought it was too loud. All right. Perfect. Yeah, I think we're in good shape now. But what I want to talk about on our first break is Mr. Elon Musk launched an AI-powered Wikipedia called Grok. Wikipedia. He's fighting back. He is fighting back. He says that he does not like Wikipedia. We're gonna watch this. Let me see if I can get this in here. We're gonna watch this video first about Elon Musk and his fight with Wikipedia and how he just launched Grokpedia. And we're gonna see if we can get access to it, right? So let's go ahead and let's go. Let me see which way I'm gonna do this. Give me a second. Let me see how I can get this up and running for us. Let's go to here, and let's do. It's showing up on the screen. Let me see. With that. Let's see if that's gonna work for us. Nope. All right, we'll just do the other way. So let's go to over here. All right, we're gonna watch this video. I'm gonna speed it up because this guy talks so slow. And we're gonna see what is going on with Elon Musk launching Grokpedia. Let's find out what Grokpedia is, and let's see if we can actually be able to access Grokpedia. So let's go ahead and let's go watch.
About the situation regarding Elon Musk launching something called Grokpedia. It's a crowdsourced online encyclopedia that the billionaire seeks to position as a rival to, yes, Wikipedia. It all rhymes. Writing on social media, Musk said that Grokpedia.com version 0.1 is now live. He promised that version 1.0 will be better by 10 times. I think I'm reading that correctly. Grokpedia's goal is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, said Musk. But there are doubts about this statement. Grok has made many errors and has shown a marked far-right bias, much like Musk and his friends. So is this a new way to get to the heart of the matter, or a platform to spread bias and propaganda masquerading as an information tool? I'll just set that up for you and bring in now Kevin Gorgisani, our foreign editor, who's got a far more.
So I think, honestly, basically any platform that they're going to be launching, whether it's Elon Musk or whoever is the opposite, there's going to be bias on either side, right? Whether you're using Wikipedia, whether you're using Grokpedia, because guess what? Anytime there's going to be human contributors to something, their bias is going to, there's no such thing as an unbiased person, right? So it's going to ooze through their thinking, the way that they present information. So I don't think that Grokpedia is going to rival. I mean, it'll rival it, but it's not like it's going to be unbiasedly true and stuff like that. Let's keep watching.
More prescient analysis of this situation. Kedevan, I'll throw to you with this. Grok's made mistakes on Twitter. Could we trust a Grokpedia?
Look, obviously it is powered in large part by Grok, so any mistakes that Grok would make, Grokpedia would likely make. But I think the mistakes is one thing, and then there is the question, as you mentioned, that quote from Elon Musk, the question about whether it will say the truth or not. And as Elon Musk said that this was going to say the truth and only the truth and nothing but the truth, he also said that it was meant to purge out all propaganda. And that is exactly what he's trying to do, which is go against Wikipedia, that he, his followers, and a lot of people in the United States on the right wing and in MAGA circles, Make America Great Again, have said that Wikipedia is woke. Wikipedia has a liberal bias and that you cannot trust Wikipedia because it's simply regurgitating the biases of the left-wing traditional media. And so what Elon Musk is trying to do is counter that. And he said it very openly, but when you look at some of the entries of Grokpedia, it's very interesting to see that there is a tilt towards the right wing and even the far right. There are two examples that have been widely commented online. The first one is the entry about Adolf Hitler. If you look at the entry on Wikipedia, in the first paragraph, you have a mention of the Holocaust, the genocide of 6 million Jews under Adolf Hitler. Look at the Grokpedia entry, and the mention of the Holocaust only comes at the very end of the second paragraph, way after a comment about how Hitler achieved rapid economic recovery for Germany. So you see that the order in which things are presented here are very different. Another very interesting example is the entry about George Floyd. On Wikipedia, the first line of the entry tells you that George Floyd was a black man, an African-American man, who was murdered by a white police officer. You look at the Grokpedia entry, and the first line is about the fact that he has a lengthy, or had a lengthy criminal record. You do not see in the first two paragraphs that he was an African-American man. You do not know that the police officer was white. And you have to wait pretty much towards the end of the second paragraph to even know that Derek Chauvin, the police officer, was responsible for the murder and convicted and sentenced to more than 20 years in prison. So there again, a lot of biases, if you will, towards the right. There are other problems with Grokpedia. One is that it's powered by AI, so sometimes it gives the facts, sometimes it gives a mistake. And the other criticism, this time from Wikipedia, is that, well, Grokpedia sometimes is simply repeating word for word what it finds on Wikipedia, because Wikipedia is available publicly and AI uses some of that information. But already you're seeing in the sort of right-wing online community a lot of praise for Elon Musk for starting Grokpedia, because, again, going back to the original criticism of Wikipedia on the right, which is we are going to build something that is factual, and actually what they're doing is trying to build something that is, in their words, going to counter the liberal biases of Wikipedia.
It is telling things along their propaganda or bias guideline, isn't it? And
So, like I said earlier, it's going to be written based on the perspective of who is actually writing it. It's not because the way that Wikipedia presents it, that's one perspective, and the way that Grok is presenting it, that's another perspective, based on who is actually doing the entries. On Wikipedia, you can go in there and you can make an edit. I don't know. We're gonna try to see if we can get access to Grokpedia, but I don't see it as how Elon Musk is describing it as the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. It just seems like you ever heard like in a car accident, right? Based on like the witnesses, based on where they were during the accident, they're gonna have a different perspective of what happened. So you have the Wikipedia entry as their perspective, and then you have the Grokpedia entry as their perspective. Which one is the truth and nothing but the truth? It's perspective. And that's the thing with, like, when it comes to a fact, right? It also matters based on how you're looking at the situation. It based on your biases as well. You know? Let's keep watching.
That's a very alarming road to be taking, in my opinion, as a humble journalist. Kevin, what does all this say about Elon Musk and his involvement in the information space?
Well, this is really the latest attempt by...
So I disagree that it's alarming, because why isn't it alarming that, because I mean, you have quote unquote left wing politics and news, you have right wing politics and news. It's just another edition. So if Grokpedia is alarming, then Wikipedia and everything else should be alarming, right? But it could be playing into the biases of this reporter or journalist or anchor or whatever these two people call themselves, right? It could just be playing into their biases as well, because they're like, oh, it's alarming that someone that I might not agree with has the capability of creating a counter to Wikipedia, and people can share information from their perspective as well.
Elon Musk to sort of offer right-leaning versions of available technological tools. And you saw the first example of that when he took over Twitter and made it X. The first thing he did was reinstate right-wing figures that had been suspended or banned by Twitter at the time for spreading misinformation, for inciting violence, including one person known as Donald Trump, the current president of the United States, who was suspended by Twitter back after the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. Grok is another example of that. Elon Musk...
So here's the thing with their argument, right? With her argument, she's saying that Twitter, at the time, they had suspended certain right-wing people because they said egregious stuff. But the question is, do the opposite side also say egregious stuff, and were they equally banned off of Twitter at the time for the egregious thing that they might say, right? So, and now is it open to anybody to say anything on X, right?
Has been public about the fact that sometimes he was asking Grok to tweak some of its answers because he didn't like the answers. One famous example was the question, what is the greatest threat to civilization? The initial answer from Grok was misinformation and disinformation. Elon Musk on X commented under that response saying, that's a stupid response, I'll take care of it. The next day, you had a new answer from Grok to the same question. This time, the greatest threat to civilization was the demographic collapse due to low fertility rates. We know that Elon Musk is very interested in fertility and in the propagation of population around the world, and especially in the United States. All of this is more broadly in line with the fight by the right wing in the United States of trying to take control of the information, because, and this is an old saying, is if you control information, if you control knowledge, you have the power.
Information is power. Scary, isn't it?
But I mean, am I missing it though? But because it's like, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. He's right. Information is power is scary, but whose information? And here's my takeaway from this, right? Here's my takeaway. I think that people need to be better educated and better informed, instead of just believing anything you hear on the internet, believing whatever AI tells you, asking AI about your relationship advice and whatever, right? Use it as a proper tool and not as your babysitter or therapist and stuff like that, because he's right. He is right about that. Information is, whoever has the power to the information is scary. But many times, we delegate that power to someone else instead of doing our research and coming up with our own conclusions. We let people come up with conclusions for us, right? So let's go ahead and read this real quick, right? So this one is from Fox Business. It says Musk's new Grokpedia crashes on launch day. Oh my goodness. Posts nearly 900,000 articles. Says XAI founder calls the new platform truthful and independent alternative to combat editorial bias. Oh my goodness, look at the Dow Jones future. It's at 47,857. We're almost at. Have we hit 48,000? Let me know in the chat. Have we hit 48,000 yet in the Dow Jones? My goodness, that's crazy. All right, so Elon Musk's artificial intelligence company XAI launched its early version of Grokpedia Monday, which is set to be an AI-generated encyclopedia to compete with Wikipedia. It says the billionaire Tesla founder who has long criticized Wikipedia for what he calls editorial bias, previously described Grokpedia as a more truthful and independent alternative. I mean, to be fair too, right? He is marketing his own platform. So, I mean, if I was creating my own platform, I would also say that. Like, who would say, well, you know, Wikipedia is more truthful and independent than my platform? Like, no, of course, your platform is always going to be the one that's more independent, you know? Let's see. So, powered by Grok, XAI's chatbot trained on real-time data, the platform aims to reshape how online knowledge is created and shared. Grokpedia officially went live at grokpedia.com, though the debut was not without issue. The site launched in the afternoon but crashed within hours before returning online later that evening. Early visitors report seeing a minimalist homepage titled Grok version 0.1 with a simple search bar. Let's see. At launch, the platform also hosted 885,279 articles, though many early users said that large portions appeared to be adapted or copied directly from Wikipedia. Okay, I guess I have to get it from somewhere. The release marks a step in Musk's effort to build AI systems that challenge mainstream narratives. I mean, which I don't have a problem with it challenging mainstream narratives, but you can't say that it is quote unquote the truth, because the mainstream narratives always also say that they're the truth, right? And I would also say that is why you can't just believe anything that you read on X, on Facebook, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Twitch, wherever you go to get your information. You can't just believe anything that they say over there, right? It says last week Musk said on X that the launch had been delayed to allow XAI to do more work to purge out the propaganda. In a September post on its social platform X, Musk stated, "We are building Grokpedia at XAI will be a massive improvement over Wikipedia. Frankly, it is a necessary step towards the XAI goal of understanding the universe." All right, so let's see if we can get to Grokpedia. Where is that URL that they said? Let me see. So let's try grokpedia.com, see what we get. Okay, we're at the website. So let's look for on Grokpedia. Hold on. Let's look for on Grokpedia. What about 2026 World Cup, FIFA World Cup? Let's see what it says over here, right? And then we'll take it to Wikipedia and see what they say. So the 2026 World Cup, FIFA World Cup, is the 23rd edition of the Quadrennial International Men's Association Football Tournament organized by FIFA, contested by national teams representing member association. So let's take that and let's go to Wikipedia and let's go to 2026 World Cup, FIFA World Cup. So the 2026 FIFA World Cup, marketed as FIFA World Cup, will be the 23rd FIFA World Cup. Contested by the national teams of the member association of FIFA. The tournament will take place June 11th to July 19th, 2026. If we look over here, It will be co-hosted by 16 cities in Canada, Mexico, and the United States from June. So it's a little different. It's a little different in text. This enlargement approved by FIFA in 2017. Building and hosting selection. Let's see what we have over here. Format and expansion. It's a little different. It's a little different. Let's see. Pretty cool. I mean, pretty interesting. So here's what I would say. Here's what I would say, right? Let's go back to full screen. Here's what I would say. Go to both. Use both. The way that I just did, right? So I would say have split screen. That way you can see what Wikipedia is saying, you can see what Wikipedia is saying, and you use that as research to come up with your own conclusions. Stop letting people, AI, everything else think for you. Use the information and figure out what the quote unquote the truth really is. I think Wikipedia is a great thing. I think that is a great thing. I think having more information, having more perspectives is a winning deal. And if Elon Musk thinks that the Wikipedia is like super woke and stuff like that, then let's see what the entries are in Wikipedia. Let's see what they are in Wikipedia. Let's see what they are in any other source that we can find. The more information, the better. And then we can research that information to see if it's actually true. We can go from there, right? So that's my take on it. That is my take. I think it's a great thing that there's Wikipedia. I think that there's a great thing that there's Wikipedia, because I have used Wikipedia for many, many things. And now that I have Wikipedia, I have another source of information, and we can be even better informed. All right, let's get back to it. Let me check the chat real quick, and then we will get to work again. We got my guy, MeMySify, in the building. Says good evening, Ralph Jr. and the chat. Hope all is well. Shout out to you, MeMySify. How are you doing? Hopefully everything is going well with you. We got my guy, Rod Brown, in the building. To Rod Brown for getting back to work. Shout out to Rod Brown for getting back to work. I see you scheduled your stream for tomorrow. We will be in the building tomorrow. Shout out to you. Let's get it, Rod Brown. Let's get it.
Let's get it.
All right. Let me see. Rod Brown says just working on content and getting stuff ready for the live stream tomorrow. Oh yeah, I gotta remind Rod Brown sometimes that he got a job to do. He got a job to do. Let's throw up another 20 minutes on the clock.
Let's go! Let's go!
And we are going to go over to our Gemini, which is over here. So basically what Gemini said was to do was take this resume timer, update this resume timer, so that that async stuff would not be affecting us. So we are going to do that. It's getting cold in here. I have to turn the AC off. All right, so we're going to do that. Let me see. Let me copy this over here. You'll be able to just take the whole method. So, and basically what we did in the first segment was we resume timer. What we did was oh, okay. So that's what they're saying. So just replace this one. So what we did was we got it to pass, but we realized by getting it to pass that it wasn't working the way that it should be working. So then we took the code, we passed the test into Gemini, and then it said this might be the problem. So we passed the actual code into Gemini and said, okay, this is what you should do to fix it, right? So we're gonna take this, we're gonna go like that. And now that we've updated it, if we go to run our test again, oh my God, look at that. shout out to Gemini and us doing it ourselves. I'm telling you, because we probably would have wasted an entire credits on Kilo and stuff like that, trying to get it to fix our unit test for us. It never works, right? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take out all these comments that were here. And I'm gonna take all that out. Going back to how we had it before. And clean it back up. See, now we know. So let's go ahead and run this one more time, and then I'm going to run the whole entire test suite. See what we get. Now everything should pass. Let's go.
Let's get it.
That's what I'm talking about.
We the best.
Passing unit test. I love it. All right. So now let's go ahead and move over to the storage service, right? We are getting we're getting this issue here. We'll figure out why. Oh, it says not used. All right, so let's remove it, I guess. Let's try that. And let's try to, there's a bunch of the same ones. All right, let's get this out over here. There's a bunch of the same ones in there. It's a copy. All right, so let's clean this up, right? Let's clean it up. Not sure what AI was doing when I was doing this. And we're going to run the whole thing like we did on the last one. Let's see if everything passes. Everything passes on the storage service. Let's go. So storage service is passing. Timer. So both of our unit tests are passing. That's great. Now let's go to the widget test. Let's see what we have in the widget test. Let's try to run all the widget tests to see how those are doing. I've always had issues on the widget test. All right, so now we are moving into our widget test. We haven't gotten into the integration test. So the way that I see it, I'm thinking for Flutter. If you know better, let me know, right? If you're a Flutter expert, but I'm thinking unit test first, widget test second, how things show up in the application, and then integration test third, so that we can get everything in line. All right. So it says, so now we tried to run it. It says that our error says failed to load focus timer screen test. Compilation failed for the path widget focus timer screen test. Focus timer screen test. Compilation failed for this. The getter manually stop isn't defined for the timer service. For timer service. Timer service is from timer service over here. Try correcting the name of the existing getter or defining a getter. Okay, so I'm gonna say, so here's what we're gonna do, right? I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna say, go over here. I tried to run a widget test for the Flutter application for the Flutter app. It failed with this error, right? I'm going to paste that. And I'm going to say, here is the code for the widget test. And I'm going to, no, sorry, made a mistake. So this is, so I'm going to, let me go to here, paste that. And then I'm going to copy the code for the test. And I'm going to say, here is the code for the timer service .dart. Because if I can get these unit tests, these widget tests, all these things working correctly, then we can confidently make changes to our application without fearing breaking stuff, and that'll be part of our CI/CD pipeline. Let's go ahead and let's run. So let me send that over to them. So let's see. All right, so it's a clear compilation error that's unrelated to your test logic. Your test is failing because the widget is trying to build focus test screen has an error in it. The error tells you exactly what's wrong. The getter manually stop isn't defined in the class. Your focus timer screen Dart is trying to access timer service manually stop, but you haven't made that variable public. In your timer service Dart, your file is defined. You define the variable with an underscore. Really? Okay. Equals false. The underscore makes this variable private. Remember, this is AI that wrote all this code, right? So AI is fixing AI right now. Your widget focus cannot see it or access it. You have correctly created public getters for your other private variables, but you forgot to create. No, you forgot to create one. The fix, you just need to add a public getter for manually stop inside your timer service, just like the others. Add this line. This creates a public. Oh, look how they do it. So this is how they do okay, that's interesting. That's how they do a getter in Dart and Flutter. It's a little arrow thingy. This new line creates a read-only getter named manually stop that returns the value of your private manually stop variable. Once you add that, all right, so let's go ahead and try it. Let's go ahead and try that. So if we go to timer service, and that would be, let me see, double get. It is, where is that? Double get. Okay, there we go. I didn't find it. So let's go here and let's drop that in there. So now if we run this again, it should at least start. We might have errors, but it should at least start. Okay, so now we don't have those errors anymore, which is good. But we have actual errors now that should take us somewhere. So this is the following provider. All right, so let's say the exception caught by widget library. The following provider not found exception was thrown building focus timer screen. Could not find provider timer service above the underscore focus timer private screen content widget. This happens because you use a build concept that does not include the provider of your choice. Here are a few common scenarios. You added a new provider in your main Dart and performed a hot reload. To fix, perform a hot restart. The provider you are trying to read is a different route. Providers are scoped. All right, so make sure. For example, widget build. All right, so I'm gonna just copy this whole thing. The relevant error causing widget was focused. All right, so I'm gonna copy that, and I'm gonna go over here, and I'm gonna say that worked. Now, when I try to run the test, I'm getting errors on the test. Let's fix them one by one. This is the first error that I'm getting. You guys have no idea how important this is to the success of your application. Ask for Rod Brown how important it is to write these unit tests and these widget tests, these integration tests, so that once you make changes to your application, you can ensure that they're actually still working. The worst feeling is you deploy and kaboom, nothing works, right? All right, so let's go to, and I'll tell you this, right? With my automation tests at work, they probably like running like 200 tests, right? And we can quickly identify when things aren't working, and because we'll be ready to deploy. All right, let's run regression to make sure we didn't break anything. We run like, oh, I'm getting all these failures. Developer, engineer, can you take a look at it, see what's going on? They review. Oh, there was an issue. Let's fix it. We run it again, and things pass. All right, we are good to go. All right, so let's go here, and now we need to take the focus timer screen, and I'm gonna say, here is the code from the focus timer screen. No, that's not the one I want. Is that the one I want? They already have that code. where are you trying to get it from? Provider. I think it's from this one actually. Yeah, from this one. Here's to go from the focus timer screen dot dart. So I need to put the code that is trying to test. So it should already have the code from the focus timer screen test, but it's trying to test the focus timer screen. So I need to put the code. So I'm giving the error of the test, and I'm giving the actual code so it can help me diagnose what's wrong, and we can try to fix that. All right, so there's a classic missing provider error. Classic 2. I'm semi new to Flutter, but I'm not the most well versed in Flutter, but AI is helping me a lot. Could not find. All right, the problem, your focus timer screen widget, specifically its init state method uses provider of timer service context to get an instance of your timer service. However, in your test file, you're building the widget like this: await tester pump widget constant material home focus timer screen. You're telling your test to build a focus timer screen, but you never provided the timer service that it depends on. The widget goes to look for it in the widget tree, but can't find it and crashes. The second error you see, the test failure about not finding focus timer, is just a side effect. The widget crashed before it could ever build and display that text. The fix, you need to wrap your widget in a change notifier provider, since the timer widget is a change notifier, to simulate what the main app does. You will need to do this for all 3 tests in your file. So we need to helper function to create the widget with its provider. So import the provider. Okay. Then we need to import the timer service. Okay. Then we need to add the helper function. Focus timer screen has title widget. All right. Pump and settle, test widget, create widget under test. All right, let's go ahead. All right, so why will this work? The widget injects an instance of timer service into the widget tree. Create the timer service. This creates a new clean instance of your service for each test. And your material app and focus timer are now below the provider. So when the focus timer calls provider of timer service, it will successfully find the instance you just created. Note, I added the await test pump and settle after pumping your widget. Your init state called load hourly rate, which is an async method. Pump and settle will wait for this. All right, cool. So let's try to do a little bit of implementation. We're gonna go to this is part of the test actually. So there's no issue with the there's no issue yet with the focus timer screen. So let me close this, and we're gonna go over to the imports, and we are going to add. It already has the provider in there. It has the provider in there. Package provider, Dart. Okay, got that. Import provider. And then we need to do the timer service. Is the timer service in there? No, the timer's. Oh, wait, no, the timer service is in there. There goes timer service. All they're doing it via package. Should I do that? Let's keep looking. So let's assume, let me not change that yet. So let's say, go to void main. So test. Okay, so I'm on the wrong one. All right, so I need to be on this one. I was looking at the wrong one. All right, so let's go here. Okay, so let's get this. So we need to get this one. And then we need to get the timer service as well. Get the timer service. We got those. All right, now outside, so we have main. Now we need to add our helper function, which is going to be, get the comment as well. So the helper function is going to say helper function to create the widget with its provider. Change, all right. Create timer service, material app, focus timer screen. Okay, cool. Now, if we look at test widget, has title and tabs, pump and pump widget create. Okay, so this has to be create timer because it's wrapping it. So we're gonna say pump that, create widget under test, and then await. You might need to pump and settle if there are features in the init session. Okay, let's do a pump and settle. So basically pump and settle does like an activation of sort. All right, so let's try to run this one on its own to see what happens. Oh, sweet, that one passes. That one passes. All right, so now let's try that with this one. Let's go to create widget under test. And we're gonna say await tester.pump and settle. Put a semicolon at the end. And that should be it for that one. Let's try to run this one. An issue that I used to have when I was trying to do these tests in the past was they would pass individually, but then when you would run them all together, then they would fail. So that is something also to keep in mind. And then we have one more test. Imagine if we get this to pass, that'd be so cool. Let's go to, you should really come tomorrow. Me and myself, you should really come tomorrow. The Rob Brown's live stream. It's really good. Don't tell Rob Brown that I said that it's good though. He'll get a little big headed, but it's a really good stream. All right, and we're gonna say await tester.pump and settle. Close that. And find by one. All right, so let's try to run this one and see what we get. And if that passes, then we'll run all of them together. Sweet. Okay, let's run everything. Look at that.
Let's get it.
We have all of our widget tests are passing. Although I think we need some more though, because if it's only for the focus timer,
Lunch break. Lunch break.
we will need some more. Maybe, I don't know if I have it in the wrong branch or something like that. Let me see, what branch are we on? Get branch. We are in, okay, so I guess these tests are specifically for this particular feature. So we can switch to another branch later on and try to fix that. So no biggie. Smart timer integration with cost display. What is the difference between this and this? I don't know. Anyways, all right, so we have that. So then I guess from there, we'll move on to the integration test next to see what we need to do. But let's go to break. Let's leave it at that for now. We'll go to break and then we will come back and do one more segment to try to finish this off. But I was this close of canceling, of ending the stream earlier with all the internet issue, but look, we've done some great work. We have done some great work. All right, let's go to, let me check the chat real quick and then chat. So you mind if I said that he will try to make Rod Brown's live stream tomorrow? Like I was saying, really try to make it. It's really good. I think it'll be very helpful in your journey to getting over, not getting over, but getting through all the things that all the films that you've been having the past few months. So looking forward to seeing them. I would really encourage you to try to make it. All right. Okay. Let's get to our next topic of tonight. Amazon cutting 14,000 14,000 corporate jobs to be mean and lean. Let's see what this is all about. Because I also saw a report that they were cutting 30,000. So I'm not sure where the 30,000 is coming from, but it says that all I know is they're cutting. They are cutting a lot. So let's go ahead and see what exactly is going. Oops, what exactly is going on with this whole Amazon thing. All right, let's go over to here.
Amazon slashing thousands of jobs. And Mackenzie Sagalos joins us now with more stuff to think every time. I got it right, Mackenzie?
Yeah, you nailed my pronunciation of the last name. So Amazon's saying this morning it's going to lay off about 14,000 corporate employees as it restructures for the AI era, marking the latest move in a multi-year effort to streamline operations and shift resources toward its biggest bets, including generative AI. Now, in a blog post, Amazon's HR chief, Beth Galetti, said that the cuts are aimed at reducing layers and bureaucracy so that the company can move faster. She called AI the most transformative technology since the internet and said Amazon needs to be leaner to keep pace. The company has about 350,000 corporate employees, meaning that the confirmed cuts affect roughly 4% of that workforce. But what I will say is that those layoffs are expected to become the largest corporate job cuts in Amazon's history. Reuters reporting the total could go as high as 30,000. And the company did signal this morning that more layoffs are likely in the year ahead, even as it continues hiring in key strategic areas. It was also just this June that CEO Andy Jassy warned AI adoption would lead to fewer roles in some parts of the business. Guys?
Very good. It's a lot of management. Mackenzie sounds, especially for a company that you think of as pretty well run and lean and mean. I don't. What were they all doing? I don't get it. But it's definitely AI related, is it not?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of internal efficiencies through generative AI tech and that affect internal workflows. But then, crucially, look at cuts at Microsoft, 15,000 people. Now we're talking about 14,000 at Amazon, potentially more. These are the two main hyperscalers. They've committed.
I'm going to tell you guys this, right? If you didn't use, I mentioned this the other day, right? During the pandemic, these companies were on a hiring spree. All you have to do is go get your little boot camp certificate and boom. And then you're like, well, I'm gonna job stack. I'm gonna go and get me 5-10 jobs, right? I'm going to be while I'm on a sprint review or a daily scrum call, I'm going to be on another call as well. And I am doing 3 jobs at once, poorly, of course, poorly. And you didn't actually take the opportunity to learn. I'll tell you, right? I get so many people who come to me from these boot camps, especially now doing these boot camps. They don't really know all the ins and outs. They done spent a bunch of money and the boot camp taught them nothing. And now there are people which during the pandemic hired. And now these companies are just going back to their regular levels. The gig is up. The gig is up. Now they're going back to their levels. And if you didn't take the opportunity, if you chose to work 2 jobs during that time, sure, you ran it up for that time, but you probably ran out of all that money anyways, right? Because we don't save. We have a spending problem. And now, because you didn't take the opportunity to see the long-term play and to actually grow in the role and network and become because I heard this many times, right? It says, oh yeah, I'm working like 3 jobs. And how do I manage working those 3 jobs at the same time? So during the daily scrum, I'd have my camera off and I'll be on mute. And once it's my turn to talk, I just unmute and I talk, and then I go back on mute and I turn my camera off and I just stay quiet. And I just do the bare minimum for each company. So 3 years later, all 3 companies, you were probably out of there a long time ago, but now we're cutting 14,000 jobs, maybe up to 30,000 jobs. I warned you 2 to 3 years ago. Stop looking for that. And you guys argued with me. oh, some people need it, some people need it. No, well, how about now, right? Government shut down. No food stamps and SNAP benefits starting Saturday. Amazon is cutting. Microsoft is cutting. Everywhere is cutting. And you didn't take the opportunity to, I want to go do manual QA. I want to do a full stack web development boot camp. And here's another thing, right? They're using AI as a scapegoat. It's not AI. AI is contributing, but I've also seen a lot of people, especially in tech, don't want, like, too prideful to use AI, right? Too prideful to use AI. And I see the non-tech people embracing AI, using it to help them streamline their jobs to go faster, adding value instead of taking the high horse approach. And that's why I will use AI for anything to make me more efficient, to make me more productive, to make me more valuable. It is like putting on a Superman cape. Because I'm able to add more value to whoever I come across. If you saw what I've been doing with the content creation assistant app that I've been working on, I had plans tonight before my teleprompter messed up on me. I had some serious plans. I'm trying to fix it after the show, but it was going to be absolutely amazing. They're just going back to how it was in the past, and maybe even less, because now with AI, they're able to be more. Their employees are able to be more efficient. They're going to be looking at efficiency. Efficiency is king. All right.
To spend around $120 billion in this fiscal year on build out, a lot of that having to do with servicing their AI customers. So we're going to see what their CapEx numbers are when they report just this week, Thursday.
Let's read through this really quick, right? So, Amazon said Tuesday it will lay off about 14,000 corporate employees. We read that. We just heard about that. In a blog post, the company wrote that layoffs are being carried out to help make the company leaner and less bureaucratic. That's helpful. While it looks to invest in our biggest bets, including generative artificial intelligence, the generation of AI is the most transformative technology we've seen since the internet, and it's enabling companies to innovate much faster than ever before in existing market segments and altogether new ones. Beth Galetti, Senior Vice President of People Experience and Technology at Amazon, wrote, "We're convinced that we need to be organized more leanly, with fewer layers and more ownership, to move as quickly as possible for our customers and businesses. Speed is key. Speed is key. Speed and good service, right? The more layers, if you ever played the game of telephone, right? The more layers that there are, things get lost in translation. So they're trying to cut off all the layers in between, so that their customers can get a better experience and their shareholders can run it up.
Let's get it.
All right. Says the layoffs are expected to be ultimately the largest corporate job cuts in Amazon history. CNBC previously reported the cuts could affect as many as 30,000 employees, according to Reuters, which cited sources familiar with the matter. So that's what we were hearing in the video. Employees in Amazon's cloud, grocery, video games. I didn't know Amazon had video games. Human resources, sustainability, and communications, ads, and devices unit were informed of cuts early Tuesday morning, although the layoffs are expected to touch nearly every area of the company. And some companies, right? When I was working at the pharma company, they would just say, all right, we need to cut 10% of the company, and they just give out, it says all the managers cut 10%. Like you guys take a cut, like whatever you have, slice it off, right? As Amazon is the nation's second largest private employer with more than 1.54 million staffers. All right, I'll say this, right? I will say this. when you hear that Amazon has 1.54 million staffers globally, 14,000 employees isn't that big of a thing anymore. It rings when you say 14,000, it's like, oh my God, that's a lot. When you say but when you say they have 1.54 million staffers, you know, as of the end of the second quarter, that figure is primarily made up of its warehouse and workforce. It has roughly 350,000 corporate and tech employees, meaning that 14,000 job cuts represent about 4% of that segment of its workforce. It's pretty small. I mean, ultimately, it's pretty small. And here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. Depending on what your role was at Amazon, that looks good on a resume. Unless you squandered the opportunity by not learning and not leveling up. Because even if you have Amazon on your resume and then you go to apply for a job and you suck, then you're not getting hired. Upload your resume to resumeflow.app so you can see how well your resume is doing compared to the ATS, right? Just throw that in there. So Amazon's job cut comes as companies across industries, including tech, banking, auto, and retail, have pointed to the rise of generative AI as a force that's likely to or already changing the size of the workforce. And that's why, for me personally, I try to get involved in anything that is generative AI, or not maybe not even generative AI, but anything AI. Try to get involved. I try to contribute to it so that I can add value to my stakeholders, right? Several companies have indicated that they can hire fewer employees and still grow their revenues, partly as a result of relying more on AI, which they believe will translate to greater efficiencies and productivity. Amazon CEO Andy Jassy said in June that the company's workforce would shrink further as a result of embracing generative AI, telling staffers that it will need fewer people doing some of the jobs that were being done today and more people doing other types of jobs. Meta last week laid off about 600 staffers in its AI unit in an effort to reduce layers and operate more nimbly. Microsoft has cut more than 15,000 staffers this year, as CEO Satya Nadella told staffers they must reimagine our mission for a new era of AI. Google made cuts to a number of units earlier this year and taken steps to reduce bureaucracy by eliminating 35% of managers overseeing small teams. Jassy, who took the helm at Amazon from Jeff Bezos in 2021, has been on a campaign to slash costs across the company over the past few years. Amazon laid off 27,000 employees between 2022 and 2023, and job reductions have continued since then, though at a smaller scale. Amazon is slimming down its workforce after it went on a hiring spree during the COVID-19 pandemic. Partly to meet a surge in demand for e-commerce and cloud computing services, the company has since moved to shutter some of its unprofitable initiatives while committing to invest in about $118 billion in this year in AI development and cloud infrastructure. Amazon faces growing pressure to show its cloud and AI businesses aren't lagging behind. I think it's kind of lagging. I think that Amazon's cloud and AI business is kind of, well, maybe not the cloud, but the AI business, I think it's kind of lagging. I haven't seen much out of Amazon from its cloud. From its AI stuff. At the same time, Jesse's been trying to overhaul Amazon's corporate culture and operate like the world's largest startup. As it looks, it's no more free lunches. No more free lunches, right? As it looks to stay competitive. Last September, as a part of a mandate requiring corporate employees to work in the office 5 days a week, he set a goal to flatten organization across Amazon by the first quarter of this year. Earlier this year, Amazon said it planned to hire 250,000 workers for full-time, part-time, and temporary roles in its fulfillment and transportation units to meet demand for the holiday shopping season. Amazon is slated to report its third quarter results on Thursday after the markets close. We will be looking forward to that. And there you have it. There you have it. Amazon being lean, mean, terror spree. All right. Okay, so let me see, nothing new in the chat. We're going to get back to our last segment of work before we wrap it up for tonight. Let's go over, let me put this back up over here, and let's go ahead and throw up one last 20 minutes on the clock.
It's time to do.
We are going to take a look at the focus timer flow test, right? Our integration test. So basically, assuming this app starts on the main screen and we need to navigate the focus timer, this part needs to adjust All right, so let's go ahead and run this test to see what we get. Running the integration test. All right, so the error, oh, I'm not even sharing my screen. Let's go here. So the error that we're getting, the following missing plugin exception was thrown running a test. Missing plugin, no implementation found for the init on channel. So what I'm going to do, same thing we did last time. I'm going to copy this whole thing. We're going to go to Gemini. And we're going to go to here. I'm going to say now I'm trying to run my integration tests. And I'm getting this error. You see it, but you see how easy it is to start troubleshooting and debugging and adding more confidence in your application by adding these tests. And we're using AI we're using Gemini, and you can use Claude, you can use OpenAI, you can use whatever you want to build this confidence. But I'm doing it manually because when I try to do it through these coding assistants, they just can't get it right, and they end up wasting a bunch of money, right? So I personally like going back and forth with Gemini to figure this thing out. Let me see what's going on over here. So let's go ahead and see. Let me see. All right. Oh, whatever. We'll figure that out later. Let me see. Figure that out later. All right. Let's go to. So I put the error in, and I'm gonna copy the code for the integration test. And I'm gonna say. And so let's start off with that. See what the error is, and let's see if we can find a way to work around that. I don't know why this isn't working up here. Okay, there we go. You can see our Twitch is working. See if my X is working. Okay, gotcha. All right, so this is a classic environment problem. Your test code is correct, but the location of your test file is causing it to run the wrong environment. This is happening because with your integration test, that's is in the test directory. The Flutter test command treats everything inside the test as a widget, as a unit or widget test. These tests run on your Mac, the host, not the emulator or real device. Your Mac has no native code for Google Mobile Ads or Path Provider. Those are for iOS. in Android. So when your test calls app.main, they try to initialize those plugins with failed missing plugin exception. The fix, you need to move your test file from the special integration test directory to the special integration test directory. This tells Flutter to build the entire app and run the test on a real device or emulator where native plugins exist. So step-by-step solution, create the integration test folder at the root level, same as your lib, okay. Create a new folder called integration test. Move your test file from its current location into the new integration test folder. Sorry about that. Okay. All right. So let's go and let me see. So take this out. I need some water. Give me a second. I need some water. Rough night. What a rough night. All right. I think we're good. We're good. All right. So let's go and to integration tests. And so now we're going to do what they said. All right. So we're going to do a top level. We're going to go to create a folder, new directory, integration test, like that. And we are going to test folder, go here. And they said to move from the test folder to the integration test folder. So let's go to integration test. And I guess refactor. Okay. So now we don't need this folder anymore. Delete. So if we go in here now and we try to run this again, let's see what happens. Looks better already. Looks better already. Failed, but we got a better output this time. All right, so let's go to, all right, let me focus timer flow test. Error running pod install. I think that's probably for the, that might be caused by the iOS part. So let's go over to here. And we are going to do, okay, so we made some progress making that move. This is the error I'm getting. And I'll say this, right? I really like working this way, where I'm able to go into the, like the Gemini and stuff like it's a Gemini, OpenAI, Claude, and paste the, like, work this way, because that way I learned so much about what the issues are, and that way in the future I know what is going on and I have a good idea on how to actually fix it. So let's see. We're gonna see if what the suggestion is for that we can actually fix this. All right, this is a very common CocoaPods dependency conflict. Your test is failing before it even runs because the native macOS part of your app can't be built. Here's a simple breakdown of the error and how to fix it. The error log tells you everything. Your pod lock file, which locks your dependencies to a specific version, says you're using order set version 5.0.0. Your Flutter in-app web view macOS plugin requires a newer version, order set version 6.0.3. CocoaPods, the package manager for Mac OS and iOS, has stopped because it can't satisfy both of these conflicting requirements. The solution is to force CocoaPods to reevaluate and unlock the dependencies. You can do this by deleting the old pod file lock and reinstalling it. Here are the commands to run in your terminal, starting from your project root directory. So we're gonna do cd macOS and then rm podfile.lock. And then delete the whole folder, I guess, and then pod repo update, pod install, go back to your product root, and then we try to run it again. Oh, and oh, look at that. You can say which one you want to run it for specifically as well. All right, cool. So let's give that a try. Let's give that a try. So let's go to terminal. All right. Say clear, and we're going to say cd mac os rm pod file.lock, and we can just do the rm-rf pods and then pod repo update. Let's see what happens with that. Updating spec repo trunk. All right, now we're gonna do pod install. And let's see, pod install complete. There are 6 dependencies from pod file and 7 total from pod install. Did not set the base configuration project because the project, okay. Now, I guess we can try to run it again, see what happens. Well, let me try doing this. Let me try it with their suggestion, cd ... Try to run it from the terminal to see if we can specify running it with the Flutter test integration test / focus type -d Mac OS. Let's see if that gives us better results. We're not getting errors right away. Well, okay, let's see. We're getting different errors now. But we don't even have it. We never even actually, oh, something happened. Let me see. We still had a, let me try it on this one again. Let's see what we get this way. So we got different results. I know that. It's trying to run on the Mac. Something popped up on the screen. I don't know if you saw it. It says the Mac deployment target is set to 10.11, but the range supported deployment target version is 10.13 to 15.5. In target Flutter, no, okay. So that looks like it's a change that we'll have to make. Exceptions caught by Flutter. So still the Google Ads thing. The test description was Pomodoro timer runs and stops. So basically what we're working right now, so basically we're gonna get the the test for the Pomodoro timer running correctly. All right, so I'm gonna copy this again, and I'm gonna go back to Gemini, and I'm gonna say, okay, that helped. This is the errors that we are getting now. Hopefully, to anyone who is building software, if you're watching this clip, you're seeing how I am trying to safeguard my application for. So right now, this is testing a particular feature, but we have other tests that we're gonna circle back to maybe next week. We're gonna circle back to get them to add additional tests to it, right? It says, okay, the CocoaPod build succeeded, which is great. Your tests are failing because you're running the Mac OS, but your app is trying to use plugins that don't have Mac OS implementation. Google Mobile Apps is the main culprit. So maybe we could do like to exclude it from running on Mac, because it wouldn't work on Mac anyways, right? Let's see. Modify the main Dart. You must test on Mac OS. So import. So if you want your apps to be able to runnable on Mac OS for development and just skip the mobile only features, you can add the platform check to your main.dart file. So that's what I was thinking, right? So let's do that. So let's do that. Actually, because if the mobile if it can't work on because it would be nice to have the app available on Mac OS, right? So let's try to do that. Let's go to main.dart. Where's main.dart? It would be, where's the app? Where are you? Am I blind? There's a bunch of main.darts. Where's the main one? Lib, there you go, main.dart. So if we were to go to, if we go to, so first we need to import this into here. Oh, that's already there. Okay, cool. So I'm just gonna copy this code. I'm gonna say, let's go over here. I'd like to do solution 2 since it would be good to have the app running on Mac OS as well. Here is the main.dart code. Let's see what is their implementation ideas or thoughts behind that.
Lunch break. Lunch break.
Ooh, right on time. All right, let's quickly try this out. see here. All right. So solution 2 is a great way to make your app flexible based on your main.dart. You have two places that's making the mobile only platform calls. In the main, you're initializing mobile ads and requesting permission.phone. Both will fail on Mac OS, and the my banner in its state. So we want to go to, let's find this one. Let's do that real quick and then we'll run the test again. Let's go here. Let's do that. Initialize. And then await. Phone request. And then close that. And then we also have it in the bottom part for the load.add, and we would say okay. So we have that, and throw that in there. Hold on. Okay, hold on. I messed up. Let's go with, and take one of those out. And we will update the comment. All right. So now let's try to run it again until we get, then we'll get out of here. Over here. Let's see what we get out of this time. So we're not filling immediately, so that's good. Ooh, did y'all see that real quick? That was cool. So we're making progress on it. We got this other error about this stuff. But we don't have the original issue anymore. So let's see. Cool, making progress. And by doing this, we should also be able to get this to work on Mac OS as well. So that's good. But I think we will pick up next week. So what we can do next week is we can finish this integration test, and then we can go back into, so we'll commit this, we'll go back into the other branches, and or no, we can actually, no, let's do this. We will finish building out this feature and make sure that we have the tests that go with it. We just need the CLI to, or not CLI, but we just need SpecKit to write the initial test, and then we'll run it, they'll fail, and we'll fix it ourselves. So once that feature is implemented, then we can, we'll merge that into everything else, and then we'll go back and we'll fix other unit tests that are failing. So the next time we do a release of the time cost calculator, we have our Pomodoro timer working. We have our integration test for everything prior working as well. So it might be a few weeks that we're going to be working on this to get our test done in the right way. All of that good stuff. But I'm very, very happy with the progress. We got our widget test done. We got our unit test done for the timer, and now we are on the brink of getting our integration test done. So that is going to be absolutely fascinating. All right, but we're going to go back to full screen, and we are going to get up and out of here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. And helping me get through the technical difficulties. Shout out to Junior, shout out to Magnetar, shout out to Rod Brown, shout out to Memisify. Really appreciate you guys. Quick announcements on our way out. Reminder, tomorrow, we are going to be going over Open Lovable, a platform that is kind of like Lovable, but it's open source. Bring your own API keys to build out software, build out tech, all that good stuff. And then we're going to do a live stream on it. Maybe not this, I don't know when. I was planning on it this Thursday, but then I also said we're going to do Create Anything. So probably go with Create Anything this Thursday, and the next Thursday do Open Lovable. We'll figure it out. We shall figure it out. You know, we got time. Time is on our side because there's always room for growth. There's always room to learn. But we'll be back tomorrow for software expressions, concept and overviews. Thursday night we're going to be live. Do have T-ball practice. It's going to be a little bit later. All that good stuff. And we also have Vibe Code and Chill this coming Saturday. Looking forward to seeing you there at techcotrap.dev. It's going to be live streaming the Patreon. You can also join the Google Meet. If you want to have a one-on-one conversation with me, join the Google Meet. Well, it's not one-on-one. It's going to be a group conversation, but that's where you can ask me your questions. We can learn together. We can collaborate. I'll be showing you the latest enhancements on the coaching portal and on the content creation assistant. I have made some crazy changes to it, so I'm looking forward to seeing you there. But that's everything. That is everything. I'm going to get up and out of here. I truly appreciate every last one of you from the bottom of my heart. We're doing big things. We're doing big things. We're building applications. We are running it up. But until next time, friends, family, I'm out of here. You guys have a wonderful night. TechCoach, we are out.
Spartans! What is your profession?
I'm not that far removed from the storm. The heat still lingers, my heart still warm. I try to change, but the core remains. I'm not that far removed from the flame.
I'm not that far removed from the storm. The heat still lingers, my heart still warm. I try to change, but the core remains. I'm not that far removed from the flame.
They pushed and pulled like I'm a game to play. Thought I'd crumble, thought I'd stray. I walked away from shadows I knew, but I'm not that far removed from the view.
They threw their stones, I caught them all. Built a wall so I wouldn't fall. Changed my name, changed my tune, but I'm not that far removed from the moon.
I'm not that far removed from the fire that burns, the soul I prove. You can test me, you can try, but I'm still the storm, the unbroken sky. I bury my past, but it won't stay gone. A ghost in the mirror, it lingers on. Try to rewrite, try to improve, but I'm not that far removed from the groove.
I buried the fire, but it still flickers low. They thought I'd crumble, but they don't even know. The echoes of me that I left in the past still rise like a shadow I can't outlast.
They see my face, but they don't see the scars. Every line's a map, a story that's ours. I wear my armor, my heart's subdued, but I'm not that far removed from the crude.
They built their walls, but I've got my tools. Try to make me dance to their shallow rules. I walked away, but the fight's in my veins. Not that far gone from my old hurricane.
They wanted a puppet, but I cut the strings. Tried to clip my wings, but I still sing. I shed my skin, but the scars still show. Not that far gone from the me they used to know. I'm not that far removed from the fire that burns, the soul I prove. You can test me, you can try, but I'm still the storm, the unbroken sky.
Oh, they like I've forgotten the fight, but I'm a phoenix not lost in the night. I've grown taller, but the roots run deep. I'll wake the thunder if they wake the beast.
Oh, they act like I've forgotten the fight, but I'm a phoenix not lost in the night. I've grown taller, but the roots run deep. I'll wake the thunder if they wake the beast.
Oh, they act like I've forgotten the fight, but I'm a phoenix not lost in the night. I've grown taller, but the roots run deep. I'll wake the thunder if they wake the beast.